When you're a kid, summer feels endless. Waiting for Christmas takes forever. A single school year feels like an entire lifetime, but then something changes. You blink and it's Friday already. You blink again and it's Christmas. Then suddenly you're wondering how it's already June and where the entire year went. So why does time seem to speed up as you get older? Is time actually moving faster, or is something happening inside your brain? The answer is surprisingly weird, because in a way, your brain is changing the speed of your life. Imagine you're 6 years old. 1 year of your life is enormous. It's 1/6 of everything you've already experienced. 20% of your memories might come from just the past year. Everything feels new. Your classroom is new. Your friends are new. Your hobbies are new. You're learning new words every day. You're experiencing things for the very first time. This first time riding a bike, the first time going on holiday, first sleepover, the first time staying up late. Your brain is working overtime because it's constantly processing new information. Now imagine you're 40. 1 year isn't 1/6 of your lifetime anymore. It's 1/40th. Compared to everything you've already experienced, it feels tiny. Your brain has seen thousands of Mondays, thousands of breakfasts, thousands of drives to work. The year simply doesn't feel as significant. But that's only part of the story. The bigger reason is something called memory density. Think about one day when you were 10 years old. Maybe you went on a school trip. You remember getting on the bus. You remember where you sat. You remember laughing with your friends. And you remember eating your lunch. That single day is packed with memories. Now think about a random Tuesday from 3 weeks ago. Can you remember it? Probably not. Because your brain didn't bother recording much of it. It was ordinary. And here's the weird thing. Your brain often judges time based on how many memories it created. More memories make periods of time feel longer. Fewer memories make them feel shorter. That's why your first week at a new job feels incredibly long. You meet new people, learn new systems, visit new places, and everything is unfamiliar. But 6 months later, the weeks begin flying by. Your brain isn't recording every detail anymore. It's running on autopilot. And that's exactly what happens as we get older. Life becomes more predictable. We develop routines, wake up, brush our teeth, go to work, eat dinner, watch something, and then go to bed. And it's repeated. Your brain becomes extremely efficient. In fact, it starts filtering out huge amounts of information because it doesn't need to pay attention anymore. You've done these things thousands of times. There's nothing new to learn. And if your brain isn't creating lots of memories, it feels like less time has passed. It's almost like your brain starts compressing life. Think about driving somewhere. Have you ever arrived at your destination and barely remembered the journey? And it's almost as if you teleported there. You were awake the whole time, but your brain switched into autopilot. Since nothing important happened, it didn't store much information, and the trip feels incredibly short. Now imagine years of your life containing more and more autopilot moments. Suddenly it's not surprising that entire months seem to disappear. But there might be another reason, and perhaps the strongest part is this. You can actually slow time down. But psychologically, people who regularly learn new skills, travel to new places, meet new people, and break their routines often report that time doesn't pass as quickly because their brains are creating more memories. More memories make life feel fuller, longer, richer. In other words, the speed of your life isn't determined by the clock on the wall. It's partly determined by how much of your life your brain decides is worth remembering. So maybe the years aren't really moving faster. Maybe your brain is simply getting better at ignoring the familiar. And perhaps that's why childhood feels so long. Because everything is happening for the first time. The first friendship, the first heartbreak, the first adventure. A world full of things you've never seen before. As adults, we often stop seeking those firsts. We repeat, we automate, we go on autopilot. And before you know it, another year has vanished. And maybe that's why time seems to speed up as you get older. Not because you're running out of time, and not because someone secretly hit a fast forward button, but because your brain has become incredibly efficient. It sees another Monday and says, I've done this before. Nothing new, nothing worth storing, so it compresses it all together. You probably remember random moments from years ago, a toy you got for your birthday, the smell of a classroom, or the first time you rode a bike without stabilizers, because your brain held on to these memories because they were new, they mattered. But if someone asked you what you did 4 Tuesdays ago, you probably wouldn't know. The strange thing is that a long life and a full life aren't necessarily the same thing. Two people could both live to 80 years old, but one person might feel like they lived several lifetimes, and the other might wonder where all the years went. It often comes down to novelty, to experiences, memories, moments that force your brain to wake up and pay attention. So maybe the secret to making life feel longer isn't adding more years. Maybe it's adding new firsts, a new hobby, a new place, a new skill. Because every time you experience something, your brain starts recording again. So if the years feel like they're flying by, maybe it's not a sign that life is disappearing. Maybe it's simply your brain asking for something different, something unexpected, something memorable. Because in the end, we don't measure our lives in seconds, days, or years. We measure it in memories. And the more memories we create, the longer life seems to last. Comment down below a new hobby or skill that you've been trying to learn. And make sure to subscribe and like for more content and oddly interesting stuff.